it's been 6 weeks since Christy passed, and I just want to say, first of all, so sorry for your loss.
Thanks.
Sorry for your
Thanks,
trouble.
Ron.
How have the last few weeks been for you?
It's still very raw. Still, what we're doing is we found consolation, Gráinne, in the music. 2 weeks ago, we got the gear out of lockup and we went up and we started playing the songs. Because it's a year. The 5th of August in Ballykeefe Amphitheatre was the last time Aslan performed together. So just getting together and playing the songs, that led us on to talking about Christy, talking about where the songs were written. Like, you know, Joe, do you remember we wrote that in the pigsty in Ballymun? And just, it's been like therapy the past 2 weeks. But to answer your question, of course, we all miss Christy because he was a one-off. There'll never be another Christy Dignam. We could never replace Christy Dignam. But we're musicians, Gráinne. We've been doing this for 41 years. And we made the decision. We had to ask ourselves, do we want to continue with the music? And the unanimous answer was, yeah, we need to keep this going, you know. In memory of Christy, when we gig, Christy will be there with us, you know.
Yeah, and we're delighted you've decided to keep going, guys. And we just heard The Fields of Athenry, but you actually recorded that a year and a half ago. And it's the last time you recorded with Christy. And Alan, I presume at the time you didn't have a clue it was going to be your last time with him.
It was during the pandemic and we were kind of just at home and we weren't really doing anything. And one day we just decided, let's meet up. And we met up in the studio. So we were all very bored, like everyone, and we just decided to do something with this song. We got a call from a guy called Paul O'Reilly from Dolphin Records. He had some idea for the song at the time, so we weren't doing anything else, so we just said we'd go in. It was something to do, it was a chance to play, it was a chance to get the gear out of the boxes, which we were all delighted about. But little did we know when we were putting this together that this was going to be this iconic song that that's known throughout the world. That would be Christy's very last recording, like, song.
Joe, I mean, it is stunning, and even though I was saying it earlier, it's the first time I ever heard it, but it feels like I've been hearing Christy sing it. His voice is incredible on that song. Yeah. And now we've got the Rugby World Cup coming up. It's just hit me. This is very much a song that's sung on the terraces. Yeah. How do you think?
I thought of that.
No. I'll start doing your PR. How do you think Christy would feel about it coming out now and being released now into the world?
He'd love it, you know. Like, Christy wouldn't do anything if he didn't want to do it, you know. And he loves the ballads and the traditional music. So, like I say, we just had a chance, and he just does such a brilliant job on it. You know what I mean? As soon as you hear it, you just know it's Christy, you know. Yeah. So we just carried on doing it, and the unfortunate happened, and we just thought we'd release it just as a tribute to him, you know. So we just streamed it and see what happens, basically.
Yeah, it's very fitting. And you mentioned there that he loved the Irish ballads.
Oh, yeah.
Hear that he nearly tried and change the name of the band, Celtic Christy and the Irish Boys.
That was after we did the Greenfields of France. He did the Greenfields of France with Finbar Fury on the Late Late Show. And after that, it got such a reaction, like it was 14 million views on YouTube. Wow. And Christy came in one day and he says, right, we're changing the name from Aslan to Celtic Christy and D'Irish Boys.
D'Irish.
And it had to be D'Irish.
You scrapped that one very quick, I'd say.
Yeah, but as Joe said, like he loved singers like Ronnie Drew, Finbar Fury, you know. And when you hear that song, The Fields of Athenry, when it just starts with Christy's voice on its own. And when I heard it, I don't know whether I'm listening to it with emotional ears because he's not here. I was going, oh my God, is that one of the best vocals that Christy has done?
I agree.
Yeah.
I know the word iconic is used and overused, but that sounds to me iconic Christy. In great voice, not a man who'd been fighting illness for over a decade at that stage.
Absolutely, Gráinne.
So many people, because you guys have been around and everybody knows you for so long, everybody has great stories. What are your great stories maybe we haven't heard? Can you tell them even?
Have you got one?
I was actually thinking of one this morning because we've done a few interviews where people are so I'm kind of racking my head and I'm kind of trying to think of something. But there was something a long, long time ago. I remember one time I was at the house and Christy called up and I seen him outside and I went out and I got into the car and the two of us were sitting in the front of the car And he had this dog, Sally, at the time. And we were sitting there yapping, and the dog was just kind of like dying to get out of the car, you know. So Christy rolled down the window and Sally just jumped out. And in those days, dogs could roam, they could do whatever they want. So the two of us are sitting there anyway, and we were just having a chat, we were having a laugh and whatever. And we were kind of finished talking, you know. And I says, right, Christy, I'll see you in the morning in the studio and 11 o'clock, blah, 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 you know. He says, hold on a minute, hold on. So he says, I have to get Sally back, you know. So next of all, he kind of stuck his head out the window and he whistled, you know. Next of all, I looked and I seen Sally kind of coming around the corner, and the ears back, a little collie kind of dog, and had jumped out the window. So I'm sitting there and I'm going, what's he at? Like, you know, so the dog is flying. Come on, Sally, come on, Sally. Sally's flying up, and next of all, he goes to jump in the window. And just at the last second, Christy, being Christy, Evil Dickman, as we used to call him, he starts to wind
He did
up.
not.
The
Poor dog.
The dog hit the window.
Poor Sally.
So we changed the name of the dog Sally to Splodge. But he just had that kind of, you know, you never knew what he was going to actually do next.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like he had a,
He had a
he
wicked
had a
sense of humour.
Yeah.
He had a
humour, you know.
wicked sense of
But,
humour. The time he was pretending to Tolka River,
Yeah.
and there was only 2 foot deep, and Christy was down and on his hunker's knees, and he was treading the water like that. And this swimmer came along and went, "Oh, that must be deep." Right? Of course, Christy was down. It was only 2 foot. Your man jumped
on his
in,
hunkers.
tore the bum off himself.
No way.
Christy stood up then and went, "Ha ha."
That was funny, evil streak in him.
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah,
much
he'd
so.
had a wicked sense of humour.
spur the moment stuff, like, you know.
You are going to keep going. You've said this.
We
I
have
mean,
to. We
yeah.
have to keep going
Yeah.
for our own heads. Like we've been sitting around for 11 months.
Yeah.
Just
The songs are
With
great.
respect, you
The
know,
music is great.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know who we're going to get to sing. As I said, Christy's irreplaceable. That's irrelevant at the moment. We're finding our feet, but we have made a conscious decision to move forward, Gráinne.
Yeah.
You know,
We just want to play our music. Though.
Just want
Yeah.
to play it. Yeah.
And everybody wants to hear it
Well,
as well.
that's what we hope.
Yeah.
You know, and
No,
like,
it's obviously not going to be the same, obviously. like,
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
I think you just have to accept that, you know,
Yeah.
and deal with it and listen to the music for what it was, you know.
Yeah.
And obviously remember them, you know.
Yeah. Aslan, in its true form, is Christy fronting the band.
Yeah.
But it'll be the Aslan songs that we'll be performing. So, yeah.
Of course, yeah. It'll be a new dynamic. Like
It will, Greg. Well, what's the alternative? The alternative is we stop.
Stop.
And that's it. Then there's no
Nobody
gigs,
wants
and there's
that,
no
like,
there's
yeah.
no memory of Christy at the gigs. There's no
100%.
nothing. So we made that decision to keep going. We don't know anything else.
Yeah.
We're 41 years doing this.
Of course. And in those 41 years, I want to talk about you working together with Christy in the studio. And I think you mentioned that he'd be always late, coming up with some excuse for being late, right? But when he did get there, was someone giving out to him? Was someone, like, were you the messer? Were you the strict one? Was someone, like, getting the tease? I don't know.
We just kind of accepted it really over the year. Like at first, obviously, you know, like because we'd be very punctual. Do you know what I mean? Like if we have to be here at a certain time, you'll see the cars lining up outside. Do you know what I mean? Like we're there.
Yeah, what we did
we
was,
just
what we
got
did with
used to him
Christy
being
was,
late.
we got so used to him being
Yeah.
late, we used to tell him there was a different time for the interview.
right.
So if he had to be here for 6 o'clock, we'd say, Christy, we'd be there at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And that was our way
still
of
be
getting
late,
him back. But he'd still be late.
I think
you
we
know?
knew.
It was just, it was
You come in and
timekeeping.
perform then,
Yeah.
so you couldn't get mad at him.
Yeah, but it's just great times, great memories, you know. And as I said, the past 2 weeks we've been just reminiscing about where we were and some of the gigs we've done and some of the, the places we've been to. You know, it was just good. Yeah, it's great remembering the times. You know.
I'm sure you're really touched as well by the reaction of the entire country
Oh, God.
to his passing. You know, everyone making a statement, and the outpouring and the community around as well. That does not happen every day.
I'd really love to just take this chance and just say thank you to everyone, because as everyone knows, when they lose someone so dearly, that means so much. And like the morning of the funeral, when we were driving into Erdensoil in Finglas, and it was just great to see
Thousands of people.
Thousands of people.
And
In the
they were-
lashing
and they were
rain.
singing.
And singing and clapping and dancing.
Yeah.
They had a big screen there and they were showing Aslan songs and everyone was just
Yeah.
enjoying and just saying goodbye.
Yeah.
But what I thought was really lovely, on a grassroots level, I think every musician singer-songwriters that play small pubs down in Cork and Donegal and Galway. Every musician done a tribute to Aslan and Christy. They played an Aslan song for Christy that weekend, the weekend after he passed. And I thought Christy would have loved that. The grassroots level, as opposed to, you know, the U2s and the Damien Dempsey's and Coronas and that, you know.
Yeah.
Which is
was
also
lovely.
nice.
Which was also lovely
yeah.
as well,
Oh, yeah.
which they
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
But I think Christy would have appreciated the grassroots level, Gráinne.
Yeah,
That,
of
just
course.
that, because it meant his music reached, like, everyone.
Yeah, it was an outpouring of love
Yeah.
across the country. And everyone, I think, is going to appreciate you staying on as well as Aslan and bringing it forward. And thanks so much for coming on the show, guys, and
Thank
talking
you.
about it. I'm sure it wasn't easy. Sorry for your loss again.
It was good, it was
Thank
good,
you.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, thanks, Gráinne.
Your song, In the Fields of Athenry, is out on Spotify now, right?
Came out last Thursday. It's available on all streaming platforms. Wherever you get your music, it's
Telling
there.
you, coming up to the World Cup.
Yeah, it's probably the best one out there. Thanks a million, boys.